Hi, I'm Ryan Smith with the IHSA. Today we're talking about job site planning. Some of the considerations on the entrance to your project is job site delineation. We want to keep the public separate from your project. People who shouldn't be exposed to your operations, we want to keep them out. So some considerations are to have fencing or some kind of barricade, including cones, pylons, barrels, things like that. At the entrance to your project, we should also see things like the contractor identification sign. We need to know who's performing the work on this project, and this will often include the site primary contact information, typically the supervisor's phone number, something like that. Additionally, at the entrance to your project, you want to identify to all of the workers entering or leaving to know what PPE is required, your PPE, personal protective equipment requirement sign. That way there's no confusion on what should be worn at all times on the project. Additionally, we often see overhead power lines at the entrance to a project. So here we can see some overhead power lines, and we have an overhead power line identification sign. This is required under the construction regulations, and it must be placed in the field of vision of the operator of the equipment entering and leaving the project site. Another requirement of the construction regulations is to plan your job site to minimize the need for vehicles to back up. A fantastic control to this is to build loops in your project where the vehicle can drive forward, get into position, and then continue to drive forward away from that location. Now, we can see here they've built in those loops, so this vehicle can pull up to the excavator to receive their load. They will have to back up to position in a small distance, and they will have to back up again to dump their load, but they have minimized backing wherever possible. If you have to back up in proximity to workers or where it could pose a hazard to a worker, you have to use a signaler to ensure that that machine has a safe space to travel. Additionally, the construction regulations also require signage be posted in the area where vehicles back up to warn workers of the hazard. The construction regulations also require that material that could collapse, tip, or roll on a project be stored in a manner that prevents it from being able to do that. So when we look at cylindrical objects like these pipes here, we can see that they have been tied together, and we aren't going to remove that banding until they're going to be used. When they are used and we have to remove some of that banding, it must be removed in a manner that does not endanger a worker, and then the remainder pipe must be blocked. You can see there's blocking here to ensure that this pipe will not roll, tip, or move when it's handled by a worker. Another important consideration for job site planning is to have a designated employee parking area separated from the hazards of the work. This gives workers a safe place to arrive in the morning, don their PPE, delineated from the hazards. And you can see we have fantastic delineation from the project here so that the workers are not around mobile equipment or other hazards that could be present. It's important on job sites to ensure that you have an adequate muster station, a point where everyone can meet. This area should also have your safety supplies like first aid kits, eye wash stations, fire extinguishers, stuff like that. It's also a good time or a good place to put your safety documentation. All of the legally required posted safety documentation can be in this location. That way it's posted in a conspicuous area that workers will come in contact with as required by legislation. Now, an important reminder here is to ensure that your extinguishers are at least a 4A 40BC as per the construction regulations. That has nothing to do with a pound size, but rather the actual rating of the extinguisher itself. Remember that fire extinguishers have to be inspected once a month, and that first aid stations have to be inspected at least quarterly. Both of these activities must be done by a competent person, someone with the knowledge and training to do that job properly. Additionally, it's always important to have a supply of potable water on the job site, something that workers can drink and access as they need throughout the day. The construction regulations require, first and foremost, that only a qualified person work with electrical equipment, someone who has been granted a training certificate under the College of Trades. Now, electrical utilities also have to be marked. We can see the signs that warn of the electrical hazards here. That's fantastic. Additionally, when you open this panel up, we can see these outlets are protected by GFCI circuit breakers. GFCI is always required in outdoor locations in constructions, as well as potentially damp environments indoors. Ensure that your electrical outlets are GFCI protected. I'm Ryan Smith with the IHSA. Thank you for watching this video. Please check out our website at www.IHSA.ca, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more safety videos.